Trump takes your self-control. You can't help yourself. I live among the creatures of the night. They'll always doubt Trump. This is what they do. It is what it is. If Trump doesn't attack Iran, he will look weak, and it will be a massive L for him. That's self-inflicted. So we'll see what happens. But as always, I'll be honest about it, because there's no reason to lie about these topics. Trump has to do what he said he would do, or he looks weak on the world stage. And he may not be able to recover from such a weak move, at least on the world stage, because these leaders, they're going to start really mocking him then. As I said yesterday, he has no choice at this point. He has to act. Whether you like it or not, he's put himself in this position where he has to act. It's just optics. It's politics. It's the game. You either understand it or you don't. Just like he has to invoke the Insurrection Act, you can't just keep making threats. You have to act. You have to back up your threats. So far, he has. But if he starts backpedaling, they'll lose the midterms. Trump takes your self-control, takes it, snatches it from you. See that Tim Walz video that Tim Walz made? This is how I know, like, Democrats lose the midterms. They don't just lose it, it's a landslide defeat. Because they're going to do things that by the time we get to midterms, I'm telling you, it's going to be bad. The level of violence from them is going to be so bad. They're going to kill an ICE agent. I mean, it's coming. It's coming. I mean, they would have killed a few of them by now if it wasn't for the ICE agents defending themselves. I think overwhelmingly the country wants something done about it. I think what will hurt the midterms is not doing what needs to be done. Not doing what you said you'd do. People voted for you to do mass deportations. They voted for you to deal with these issues, and so you have to deal with them. And if you allow the leftists to run right over you and bully you and use the media and all this crap to get you to backpedal, that's why people don't come out and vote, because they feel like, well, they're not going to vote Democrat. There's so many people in this country that will never vote Democrat, ever. It's just not an option. But if the Republicans don't do anything with the power they're given, then you will see people just not vote at all. They will just stay home. So what has to be done for the remainder of the year is you have to deal with this radical left violence You have to, if you're going to say you're going to defend the people of Iran, then you're going to have to do it. Nobody wants a weak leader, man. Nobody wants that. And you know, y'all can say all this dumb shit. That's all irrelevant to me. Trump said he would do it, and he has to do it now. And that's the way it is. It's not about, oh, it's not our problem. Stop with all that bullshit. I'm tired of listening to that shit. Listen to what I'm saying to you and take it in your dumb brain. He put himself in this position. He has to act. If he doesn't act, he looks weak. Can you understand that? Can you wrap your head around that? So I believe he'll do something. But if he doesn't, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. Because nobody was asking him to intervene in Iran. You know, nobody, you know, there wasn't like an outcry from the people of the from Americans and stuff to do that. He could have just said, hey, it's none of our business. We're going to stay out of it. And most people would have probably been fine with that. But now he stood up and said, we're not going to stand for that. And if he just backpedals, it's like, oh, he's a bitch. He looks like a bitch. Does Trump want to look like a bitch? I don't think so. Especially not right now, where he's got a lot of momentum. He's got a lot of momentum, especially in the world with, you know, the pressure that's being put on Russia and China with what he did with Venezuela. All these moves he's making, this would be a big L. This would make him look very weak, and it's going to be hard to continue kind of putting pressure on Russia and this and that if you're backpedaling like this. So now Trump did this last time. Before he bombed the nuclear thing, he said that he wasn't going to do it, and then he did it anyway. So there is a pattern of behavior that Trump does this, misdirection. He does it all the time. So you have to factor that in. You don't know what's going to happen. If I had to bet money on it, I'd say he attacks, and it's just misdirection. Because that's what he always does. That's the pattern. And of course, he could have, you know, there could be other factors. There could be people telling him, hey, don't do this. The base doesn't want it. Or, you know, Saudi Arabia doesn't want him to do it. So there's a lot of factors. But you look like a weak bitch when you talk a big game and then you don't back it up. You look weak. Not a good time to look weak right now on the world stage. But once again, I don't have all the intel Trump has. I don't. Maybe they've decided this is just be a bad move. This just would not work. And it's just best not to get involved at all. Well, shouldn't have said anything then. Should have just been quiet. And wish the people well. And that was that. Same thing with Israel. You know, Netanyahu's talked a big game. You know, there was a couple of months back where Netanyahu told the Iranian people if they stood up, he would back them. And where's he at? So if Netanyahu and Trump do not come to the aid of the Iranian people, then the Iranian people are going to really start to hate America and Israel. See, this is a mess that's been created now where you almost have to do something. You have to do it. Because if you don't, you've created a massive mess. Now you've pissed off all these people. They will never trust America. They will never trust Israel again. I just don't know why you go on TV. Netanyahu did the same thing. I don't know why you would go on TV and say these things and then not back it up. Nope, just don't say nothing then. Just hush. It's very uncharacteristic of Trump to say he's going to do something and not follow through with it. I know that there's this fake bullshit narrative, but that's all nonsense. Trump usually follows through with what he says he's going to do. Now, there are times where Trump's say going to do something and it's a negotiating tactic and he gets people to kind of back down a little bit and then he backs down a little bit. But I don't think you can do that here. I don't think you can do that here. You've talked too big of a game. You have to attack. You have no choice. It's impossible to know if he backtracked. Like I said, Trump uses misdirection all the time. He does it all the time. So nobody can say what's going to happen. If I had to bet money, I'd bet he attacks. He did the same thing last time. Same tactic. He kept telling him he's not going to attack. He's not going to attack. And then he attacked. Like 2 days after he said it, he attacked. He said like, oh, we're going to meet in a week and we're going to figure this out. And then 2 days later, he attacked him. Trump likes to misdirect. It's something he does. So it's a wait and see type of thing. We don't know. If you're going on the pattern, then Trump will attack. The pattern of Trump is he says he's going to do something and he follows through. But before he follows through, he plays all these games where he'll say, well, maybe we won't. Well, maybe we could have a meeting, yada, yada, yada. Trump never backtracked on the... Y'all got to stop lying. Let me ask you a serious question. Let me have a serious answer. Why do you think you can come in this live stream of all places and lie? I promise you guys, I'm one of the most informed people. I'm more informed than these other people you watch. Because I watch some of these people, they're retarded. I keep up with the news. And I see all sides. I'm not in a bubble. I don't sit in echo chambers and in bubbles. So I see the left view, the right view, the view in the middle. I see what the Iranian people are saying. I follow all kinds of people. The $2,000 checks, listen closely, because I'm going to give you the accurate information because you're being fed a bunch of bullshit. I would encourage you to start unfollowing people who feed you bullshit. Then you won't sound so stupid. The $2,000 checks come before the midterms. They have said this repeatedly. They come before the midterms. They come later this year. Scott Bassett, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, the list goes on, have all said this over and over and over and over. Donald Trump has never promised you a paycheck and not delivered on it. So can you cut the bullshit? Because there's no actual evidence to back up the dumb shit y'all say. Trump promised you a check during COVID. You got it. He promised you a second check. You got it. Joe Biden promised a fucking check. Guess what? I never got that check. That was the only check I didn't get. Was that one? I remember Biden promised one. Never got it. Trump delivers. Guys, they're not going to promise you a $2,000 check during an election year and not give it to you. That's retarded. They're not going to do that. Now, if the Supreme Court strikes the tariffs down, they might do it, though, because that's where that money's coming from. Do I think the Supreme Court will strike the tariffs down? No, I don't. I believe the reason they keep delaying it is because they're taking a wait-and-see approach. Because the tariff stuff is actually working the way Trump said it would work. The country's benefiting from it. So the Supreme Court, I think, keeps delaying because they want to see what happens. I mean, if you rule against it and you're hurting the country, that's kind of goofy. What the fuck's... Why would you do that? So I heard it was getting delayed till June. That's a rumor I heard. It makes sense, too. It makes sense to keep delaying it and see what happens. When you're seeing this, we're starting to see a boom. We're starting to see our economy boom. I know that you think otherwise, but this is all backed by data, so just get over it. Get over the... Start living in reality and get away from all these weird fantasies. It's so stupid. Reality is so much more interesting than being stuck in some weird fantasy where Jews run the world or we're about to have a Great Depression, all this dumb shit that's not going to happen. I'm going to be drafted. No, you're not. I'm going to die for Israel. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's the beauty about getting older is you really start living in reality. You start rejecting all. You start to realize how dumb a lot of this shit is. The conspiracy theories, like it's all dumb, man. It's just all stupid, and it's not backed by anything. And there are conspiracy theories that seem credible. They seem like they're true. But what I've learned over the last couple of years is that just because something sounds good doesn't mean it's real. Just because you can point to this and this and this and this and this doesn't mean that all these dots actually connect or anything. Like the Candace Owens stuff and the Israel-Palestine stuff really showed me how just people lie so much, and Candace Owens really makes you see it, where you're just like, wow, people will believe anything, and you can come up with evidence. You can make a case, you can. But just because you can make a case doesn't mean that you're right. Doesn't mean you're making any sense, really. Candace Owens was talking about Charlie Kirk's a time traveler or some shit. Did you see that? It's crazy. Nobody can get a job. That's not true. That's just not true. Plenty of jobs. As I said when Trump won, now's the time to put your head down and get to work. Now's not the time to be crying like a bitch. Because now is when Trump is president, you make money. This is a fact. I've lived it. When Trump was president the first time, I made the most money off streaming I ever did. And I was getting banned off different sites, but I was still, think about how crazy it is. Even while I was getting banned and everything, prices are not climbing. That's a lie. I work in a grocery store, guys. You can't lie to a guy that works in a grocery store about the prices of groceries. If prices are going up in your state, look at your local government. Look at your state government. Hold them accountable. Vote better people. Stop putting Democrats in power. In the state of Kentucky, the price is the same. I've been buying the same. I buy the same goddamn food. Been buying the same shit. It's been the same price. Although there was something. Oh, I seen the Wendy's Biggie bag is going to be $6 now. It used to be $5. And Wendy's is acting like it's a new thing. Wendy's is like, oh, we got the $6 Biggie bag. Introducing the $6. It's the same bag. But as far as groceries going up, no. At least not the stuff I buy. Stuff I buy, same price. I've been buying the same pack of meat for the last over a year now. And it's been $8.99 and it's still $8.99. Same size, same everything. My electric bill, all my bills are the same, been the same. You know what's actually went up? My wages. The only thing that's went up in my life is my fucking wages. It's crazy. What's crazy to me is when Biden was president, I had never been broker in my life. Never been broker. When Trump was president the first term, that was my peak earnings off streaming. I was living comfortably off stream donations. And then Trump gets back in office, and I'm making the most money I've ever made in my entire life. So that's the reality I'm in. The one thing I don't understand about all this bitching about Trump is, please tell me what other option we have. Trump ain't magic. He's not going to be able to snap his fingers and just make everything like it was pre-COVID. It is what it is. I said many times before Trump won the election, I said, some things we might not be able to fix. There's damage that was caused by Biden that we may never be able to fix it. We may never be able to go back. And we're just going to have to live with that. We're just going to have to accept it. I mean, I didn't vote for the motherfucker. I didn't do it. But as far as Donald Trump making things worse, oh, absolutely not. That's silly. That's a silly thing to be saying. Certainly not happening in my life. My life has done nothing but get better. So I'm just not seeing all this. I have no reason to be mad at Trump. Not doing anything to affect my life. I get on X, I see the things he's doing. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. It's really fantastic to see these things. I'm also a grown man. I realize, he's not magic. He can't snap his fingers and make Vladimir peace. Well, he's trying very hard to get the Russia-Ukraine stuff to stop. He's putting immense pressure on Russia, seizing their tankers and all this stuff he's doing. But, you can't snap your fingers and just make it a reality. These people have to, Vladimir Putin runs a nuclear-armed country, so he's got to want peace, and Ukraine has to want peace. They both have to want to sit down and work out a deal. And I really don't think either side wants to do that. I think they want to fight. I think there's real hatred there, and I think they want to fight. And maybe you got to let them. Now, Trump's plan is to back Russia into a corner where they don't really have any assistance. You've taken out Venezuela, and if you can take out Iran, then Putin is kind of in a corner. And maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll get him to come to the table. Then again, does Ukraine want to come to the table? Does Ukraine want to end this shit? I'm surprised they're still fighting just because of the amount of people that's dead. I mean, it's just insane. Russia's lost over 1 million people. Over 1 million soldiers. And they just keep marching on. It's fascinating. And Ukraine the same way. It doesn't seem to. If you're gonna make a deal, there has to be concessions, right? There has to be. Both sides kind of got to make some concessions. Got to come to some type of agreement. But if neither side wants to do that, then what are you gonna do? You can't really you can't. I mean, taking the Russian tankers is crazy, honestly. That's the only thing Trump's done that I'm like, well, that's insane. It's just crazy. But it really shows just kind of how weak Russia is. Like, they're not going to do anything because I don't think they can fight a conventional war against America and win it. I don't think they can, especially right now where they've lost over 1 million soldiers. And using nukes is suicide. So what options do you have? If you're Russia, what options do you have against America? Your options are very limited. Because you're not going to use nuclear weapons. You're not. You're just not. And because that could blow up the entire world. That could set off a chain reaction. And I just don't think Vladimir Putin's a retard. I don't think he's some retard. It's like, I'll just start nuking people. It's just, I don't know about that. A nuke is like a last resort. Like, fuck it, It's over. I'll take the world with me. It's over. So there's only so much you can do with that. And seizing the tankers and all that, that's pushing the limit, really, I think. But it shows that Russia ain't shit. That's what it shows. What I've really learned with Trump is if nuclear weapons didn't exist, America would just run everything. We just run everything. We just take over everything because nothing can measure up to us militarily. Our military is so advanced. We spend so much money on it. My whole life I thought, oh, we should stop spending money on it. But you get older, you start to realize, like I said yesterday, we can run the world or someone else can. That is the choice. There isn't a third choice. There isn't a magical third choice where we all live in peace and hug each other. No, 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 no. Either we run the world or Russia or China or somebody else does. Probably China would run the world. So when you look at it like that, like I've said for many times, everything is so simple. We overcomplicate everything. But when you really start to grow up and accept reality, things are very simple. It's very simple. It's like the Iran thing. Trump said he would do something. Now he has to do it, or he looks weak. Simple. All that other bullshit people are saying is just noise. It means nothing. It's not our responsibility. It's fuck all that. It's very simple. You said if they killed protesters, you were going to do something about it. They did it. They basically spit in your face. Are you a coward? Does America look like a bunch of pussy bitches, or do we smack the fuck out of this dude for spitting in our face? It's simple. Now, I prefer to smack him in his fucking mouth because I know we can. And I know there's nothing anybody can do about it. He can't do nothing about it. China and Russia's not going to try to jump in and fight us. Russia has its own shit going on. It ain't coming to aid of nobody. So you ain't got to worry about that. Russia's not coming to Iran's aid because Russia don't have the soldiers to do it. They just don't. Do you know that the #1 air force in the world is America? Do you know what the #2 largest air force in the world is? The U.S. Navy. The U.S. Navy has its own Air Force built into it. That the U.S. Air Force is like a separate fucking thing. The Navy has its own like private Air Force fucking thing. Like what the fuck? Do you understand that just nobody can fuck with us? I get that you've been mind fucked into thinking they can because these motherfuckers was laundering your money and stealing and these forever wars so they could make money and all this bullshit. But if you had a real leader like Trump, you can just go in and fuck things up and leave. I mean, you know, we have crazy technology. If they go into Iran and capture this dictator or kill him with the Delta Force, I mean, you just got to shut up with this bullshit of I'm going to get drafted or boots on the ground. Bro, there ain't no boots on the ground, bro. There ain't no need for it, bro. We got like sound cannons and shit. If that story about sound cannons is real, and if they're able to go